Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I don't know how long this is going to take. Definitely no longer than 40 minutes. The 45 minutes, it could be quicker, but I want to make sure that we get things started off right. So if you remember from our last call, this series of masterminds is 100% about leadership. How we can take the people we're working with and get them to act, get them to perform, get them to do the things we want them to do and know that they can do. They're just not at that point yet. Our whole goal as leaders is to take somebody where they are and make them better. And that means us being heavily involved with them. And just telling them to get better is just like telling that little kid to shape up. It doesn't work. There has to be some things involved, some strategy involved to do this. So here's what we're going to do. Hopefully you guys, and I'm going to try not to talk as much. I want to make sure that you guys do the talking here. But there is going to be a homework assignment at the end of this call. And it's going to be thinking about people you work with. So I won't necessarily give the homework assignment right now, but throughout this call, be thinking about people you work with who fall within these categories that we're talking about. So here's what I want you to do. On a blank sheet of paper, I want you to, on the left-hand side, see if I can do this without giving too much away. Okay, on the left-hand side of the piece of paper, I want you to draw a circle. You can see through that. Draw a circle and put you. Is that backwards or not? Hot dog. It's not backwards. So a big old black circle and write you. And then I want you to draw a line. Let's see if I can do this right. A line in a 45-degree angle going up. And just below it, I want you to write expectation. So something like this. Okay. This simple graph is going to change our lives right here. I feel it. Because when we sign people up, we say, here's you, and here's where I expect you to here's where I expect you to be. I feel so shameful saying that because it sounds so horrible. And I think people, when they sign up, they have this expectation of growth. Whether that even, we don't have to necessarily be talking about coaches right now. We can be talking about customers as well. But either way, I think when people sign up, they see themselves in a better place. And this is kind of where they see themselves over. Now, this right here does not have a time period attached to it, just so you know. This expectation line. But over time, eventually, this could be very fast or very slow. We expect them to be in a better spot, hopefully because we've helped them grow. So here's what I want you guys to do. And here's the first part where I want you to be involved. I want you guys to simply go around, and maybe it's best instead of call out, maybe I'll just have each of you talk about some of the behaviors and actions that fall above the line and below the line. We're going to be talking about, so this is actually, you guys are my first group, so you guys are my guinea pigs. This is going to be a two-part series. So we're going to talk about half of this today, and in 2 weeks we'll talk about the other half. But I want you guys to think about what are some of the expectations and what are some of the behaviors and actions that people do that fall above the line and below the line. I'm going to give you, 40, 45 seconds to quickly write those down. Think about it. Write it down on your piece of paper. Oh, and then what I want you to do on a different sheet of paper or on the back side, I want you to write some of these behaviors, and because we're going to categorize them. So write them down. You got 45 seconds to write down both good and bad actions or behaviors that fall above or below the line. Maybe 15 seconds more. Okay, you can keep writing, and as people talk, feel free to write down some of their thoughts as well. But I think I work with almost all of you, the majority of you here. And you guys have heard me say over and over again, in the Kevin Shaw opinion, the most important conversation you can have with anybody at any time during their entire coach life are the initial conversations, where you set expectations. And what I don't mean by this is sending them an email saying, here are my expectations. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, if they're local, you go to a coffee shop, you sit down with them and you talk. If you are not local with them, you get on the phone or you get onto Zoom and you just talk. You get to know them, where you get to get a sneak peek into what their expectations are and link them up with what you expect. I think this is a very interesting exercise. I would find it interesting to have you guys fill this out for somebody, and then for the brand new coach that you sign up, have them give thoughts as to what they think are things that are behaviors that are above the line and things that are below the line. You're going to get a snapshot into how they're thinking they should run their business, which is gold to you. Because in any relationship that you've had, in any aspect of your life, when there's miscommunication, things don't go well. And I don't care if this is with your kids. I've been talking about my kids lately a lot because they're just running. Did I say ruining? Running my life. And it could be with your spouse. It could be with coach. It could be with your success partner. It could be with anybody. When there's miscommunication, things don't work well. And so, but by talking to them and having them define expected growth, what that looks like, you're going to get a really good snapshot into your life. Okay, so let's just go around quickly. Lil, you popped up on my screen first. I'm going to have you just give us a little bit, maybe one or two above and one or two below.
Sure. So for being above the line, being coachable, learning something, doing it, and then succeeding with it, and challenging themselves, someone who wants to challenge themselves. And then for underneath was basically the opposite of all that, not following direction. Also people who are always expecting something in return, some people that keep chit lists. Well, I did this, so I should get that. And not being a self-starter.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. Doreen, a few from you, please.
Am I unmuted? Okay, good. Hi, I'm in my new house, Kevin, finally. Hardest move ever. Okay, for above the line, somebody that does the 3 vitals, actually works out, eats healthy, and, like shows up and posts and invites, that kind of thing, and is willing to learn and attend meetings and, personal development, professional development. And for under the line, it would be disappearing and expecting magic. Those people who expect it's just not working. It's not working. You're not doing anything.
Perfect. I'm glad that both of you have mentioned being gifted a lot of things, kind of expecting a lot to happen when they're not willing to put in the work. Okay, just because of time, maybe we shouldn't go through any. Let's go through 2 more people who just is dying to tell me there are 2 things that fall above the line or below the line for the remaining group. Cassie.
All right, for above the line, I put that they understand the investment of time, investment of getting to events, and seeks that out. And understands the compound effect, knowing that what they do every day is going to get them to that bigger goal. And then below the line, lack of belief in the products and what we do, in themselves, in the company, and overthinking things, not doing.
Yes, Casey, that was perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. One more from anybody else who wants to give. I think we've covered a good amount. There's a few things that
Honestly, to make that real quick. So I feel like you'll get the people below the line who are paralyzed. Like they're afraid to do anything. And then you have your people who are rock stars and like they don't care if they fail. They don't care if their post wasn't great and they'll ask you for feedback. Like those are your people who are going above the line.
Ooh, that's a good one to end on. Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that. We're going to actually be talking about those exact things right there. Okay. So what I've learned is that what we're going to be talking about today are the things that actually fall below the line. We're going to start off on below the line. In 2 weeks, we'll talk about what to do with the people above the line. But right now, we're going to talk about what to do and how to respond with and how to categorize and how to work with the people who fall below the line. Because as a very obvious thing that you guys have figured out is this. Nothing goes according to plan. This line right here will never be straight. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. And if that's what you expect, you're going to be disappointed. So as a leader, flexibility is probably one of the main best characteristics you can have, and knowing how to respond when it does become flexible. Some of you have read some of my posts. One of the posts that I've done on the personal page is one about doctors. When you go see a doctor, what does the doctor do? He does not simply say, "Hi, welcome, here you go," and give you a prescription for Xanax. When you have nothing, Xanax isn't what you need. What a doctor does, what he or she does, is when you sit down, they start asking questions. How's it going? How are you feeling? Tell me where it hurts. Tell me the symptoms you have. And by listening and with the knowledge that they have, they can properly diagnose you and give you the correct prescription that will help you feel better. We are doctors in a sense. People come to us, people say, "Help, I need help. I have this problem." And a lot of times we say, "Here's your prescription," as soon as they walk in. That's not how doctors do it. That's not how we're supposed to do it. What we're supposed to do is diagnose them, talk to them, ask questions, and based on what we've learned, help them, give them the correct prescription to help them get in a better place. It's different for every single person. A doctor, I would be fascinated how many different prescriptions he or she writes every single day. But it's different. And that's exactly how we should respond as well. So, but I'm going to try to categorize everything that you guys have said into 2 specific categories. So when people fall below the line of expectation, and these are the 2 categories I want you to write down, either they need to be counseled or they need to be provided. I'll go over each of these categories with you really quick. I'll start with counsel. And these are not my own thoughts, by the way. So maybe we can take some of the things that you guys have written down, and we can either categorize them into the counsel category or the provide category. For the people who need to be counseled, here's kind of the symptoms that they show. Their performance is below expectation. Correctional feedback is required. I doubt we need to correct people, but that's one thing. Advising is needed. There's behavioral problems. And there's a conflict resolution that needs to take place. Those are the kind of things that they're showing. Now, the key difference that you're looking for If the people who need to be counseled, they have, in your opinion, everything they need to be successful, but their attitude isn't in the right spot. That's when you know they need to be counseled. These people, it says the counsel role is needed when the individual has all they need to perform and they are capable of performing, but for some reason they choose not to perform. Some key things to do in this category is to remind them, so we're focusing on behavior here. One of the key things we need to do here is remind them why they signed up. Remind them of this draft. Remind them of when you clicked yes, when you clicked purchase, you saw yourself in a better spot. Talk to me about that. Tell me where that spot is. Because we need to get their behavior in that better spot. So before I move on, I want you guys to quickly talk about some of the things of the things that you have listed. Do any of these fall so far in the counsel category that you guys have written down? And if so, could you share with us so that we can hear and kind of hear some of the scenarios that you guys are dealing with when it comes to counsel? Anybody want to share? Okay, Lil?
I'm not sure if anyone else has this, but I have a couple coaches on my team who they struggle with depression. And it's just hard because when they're on, they're on. And then two of them right now, I mean, these are people that earned Success Club trips. One of them is a diamond. The other one was so close to diamond. And it's really hard. I'm a nurse. I'm used to speaking with people, dealing with mental health issues and stuff like that, but not in a leadership capacity, more in a prescription capacity. So I'm struggling so much with one of them right now because everything that comes out of her mouth is just so, I can't, I wish I could. She breaks down in tears all the time. And she has everything she needs. She has done it. She has been successful. So I don't want to say it's attitude, but it is her attitude. But it's like, I don't know which part is chemical and which part is just her self-limiting beliefs, because it all kind of comes together to this big, messy stew. And it's just, it's frustrating because you know they can do it. Like, she's amazing, but she doesn't see herself the way that other people do. I don't know if anyone else has struggled with that.
Well, I think we're getting a lot of nods here. Does anybody want to chime in here with some thoughts?
I think it's important that you focus on really just letting them see that you really care about them first. You know, the diamond can go by the wayside, but they matter and that they're important to you and important to the team. I think even like asking them, can you share this struggle with the team? Maybe you're not comfortable yet sharing it on your social media platform, but really that's their story. I mean, that's who they're going to attract. If they can get used to sharing that pain point, their business will grow on its own. But I think if they can learn to lean into the team and you guys can support them, that will help get them out of that rut. Because with depression, a lot of times they just need somebody to be there for them. So I don't know, when I have some coaches on my team that have dealt with depression, and I went right back to let's you and let's focus on your journey and get them back into the journey. You help them like you did when they were a client.
Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, I don't even talk to her about the business anymore. I just literally check in on her to make sure she's okay. I asked her straight up, do you need to go on a prescription right now? Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. How can I support you? It's just, I think working with women, sometimes it's just comes with the territory.
One thing I think we need to address here is while I think this is a very healthy exercise for us to do, if we focus too much on an individual, we're going to lose a lot of esteem. And so I think, there are these cases where maybe we can't solve it, but that's an okay thing. I don't think our job is to solve problems, it's to provide opportunity for these individuals to succeed. And if there is something that we can do, let's make sure that we do that. It's a leadership responsibility to take this individual aside and, as mentioned, talk to them. One of the, there's three. There are three things that we can do when somebody falls into the counsel category. And here's what those three things are. Number one is empathetic listening. Number one, I think it kind of goes off of what Sarah said. That's kind of a big deal. Number two is defining expectations. And number three is sharing intentions. So those are the three key things that we can do if when somebody falls into this category of needing counseling, needing just an ear to listen to, so, giving them a chance to get whatever they need to get off their chest, and then defining expectations, going back to that. Hopefully, from here on out, hopefully we almost save one of these for every single person we work with, and we can pull this out and say, let's go back to what your expectations were and what you think falls above or below the line. And then let's reevaluate because that was at a point where maybe you didn't understand everything of what coaching or customer life looked like. Now that you've been a part of it for quite some time, maybe let's reevaluate what expectations are. And you tell me what you think falls above the line and below the line. And then last one is sharing intentions. That's kind of a big deal. This is where we can really help them achieve success, letting them know that we're there for them, letting them know that we are their biggest cheerleaders and that we want what's best for them. But ultimately, it does come down to them doing something for themselves rather than requiring us to provide things for them. Did anybody have thoughts on this? I feel like I'm doing too much talking here. No.
I think that hit the nail on the head, and I can relate to everything times 10 with that. But I guess I just have a question. I don't know if there's a set answer for this, but in doing those things, reminding them why they signed up and listening and doing all of that, I feel like with one of my coaches, I am on a hamster wheel with that process. And it's just at what point it's so hard for me to bless and release because I know that she can do it and I just want to shake her. But at the same time, it's kind of sucking my energy too. And I just don't know if there's a time frame, at what point do you just say, oh my gosh.
That's a great thought. I do have thoughts. Does anybody want to chime in with what they think is best before I share my thoughts? Okay.
Bless and release, baby.
Okay, so before we get to the bless and release part, how about it's bless and postpone? Because I think if we bless and release, then that happens every now and then. But once again, the time frame here, we talked about this. There's absolutely no time frame on here. And when somebody is not at that point just yet, it's okay to let go and to move on to more productive things that are going to move your business forward. But always making sure at some point, periodically, you check back in with that person. And you kind of do a, hey, how's it going? I care about you. I love you. What's new? Maybe let's try this again. But it's not necessarily, when I hear release, I can't even give them the old boot out the door. It's more, okay, I got things to work on. If you're willing to work, let's work. If not, that's okay. If you're not at the point, that's okay. Just know that I'll be checking in periodically, but I'm running a business here, and I need to be working with people who want to work. I think that's a fair thing. It's hard for people to get frustrated with that one. So, okay. Now let's move to maybe we should, I don't know if I should have started with the absolute worst category to start with, but let's move to a happier one, which is provide. Let me get to my notes here. So the provide category, some symptoms that these people show when you need to provide them things. Direction has been lost on their end. On your end, probably not, but on their end, they feel that they're lost. When new expectations need to be defined. When movement is not agreed upon. No, movement is not in agreed upon direction. And conditions for the individual success need to be discussed. So you talk about their success. So it says the purpose of the provide role is to provide the individual with the things that are necessary for them to reach their goals. Too often we look at substandard performance and blame the individual. The truth is, in many cases, the individual needs something from the leader or the organization, such as training, support, tools, skill building, guidance, direction, defined expectations, or clearer goals. When the individual receives the proper training, guidance, and resources, they will improve their performance until it meets or exceeds expectations. So here, and I've read other books that talk about this same thing. They want to be successful. Their attitude is, yeah, I'm here, I'm showing up, but just they're falling below the line because they don't necessarily have everything they feel they need to become successful. And this is in the scale is all over the place. This is from a brand new coach who has no idea how to do anything to moving along. Okay, you're progressing. Let's continue to provide you more training and tools based on where you're at. Let's pause here. I want you guys to talk about, are there people who fall into this category you're working with, and kind of what do they look like to you as a coach? Anyone want to chime in with that? A certain scenario?
Yeah, I have a challenger. She's a coach now, but she, over the course of the year, has lost 75 pounds. She shows up every single day. She, on paper, you're doing everything you're supposed to do, has the right attitude, and it was that we need to tweak what you're doing as far as getting to that measurable goal. Like, she just didn't really know what she wanted. She knew that she wanted to make a business, but she didn't know, okay, these people are saying how proud they are of me. She wasn't inviting them. She was just saying thanks. And so it was just tweaking a little bit to invite them to join her on this.
Perfect example. Jenna, you had an example.
I think that this would fall into this category, but I've been working with a coach of mine who's feeling overwhelmed, and I feel like we've been at this place before. And you know, we get on calls and we are often in contact, but it always comes down to her, you know, needing to create like a schedule and to manage her time better. So I just feel like, I don't know, would that be an example that would fall into this category?
Yeah, that one does. Their attitude also that may ride the line between the two, but that's a good example as well. Any others? That's good. So here's some key things. So the goal here, guys, is to determine what needs to be done and provide the resources, skills, or support the individual needs to do it. Provide them with resources, skills, or support to do the things they need to do. But once again, this isn't just, here you go, here's your prescription. I really do think this involves a lot of talking and maybe redefining expectations of what they want to achieve, maybe what the goal looks like. And they say, yeah, okay, now I'm more aligned. I have, kind of going off what Jenna said, I have a new goal. I know what direction I'm facing. I just need some some help along that path. Give me some support. Give me some resources. Give me some skills. Give me some training along that path, and I'll get there. I'll get there. But right now I'm a little bit lost because I want something. I just don't know how to get it. This is probably where you guys can be the most influential. Once again, it's not here you go. It's let's talk this out. Let's make sure. I want to hear feedback. I want to know, is this prescription I'm writing, I want to hear how it goes. Give me feedback and stay in constant contact with them. Because I do feel that people, a lot of times, the people who fall below the expectation line, we look at them and we say, we kind of write them off and say, well, if you really wanted it, you would have made it. You can make it happen. I can't tell you how many people, you guys watched the What It Takes series. Everybody started out saying, I was the worst challenger. I was no good at this. I was the one that said no to everything. They were below the expectation line. But because they received training, they received support, they received constant guidance, they had continual one-on-ones, there was always a gut check call throughout their time along their journey. They figured it out. They got above the line and they took off above that line. Hi, sweetheart. Can you stop? I got a great Hummer behind me. I'm sure you guys can hear it. Sorry. We sing at the Shaw household over here. People who fall under the line can be successful. Don't write them off. If needed, we can do the bless and pause. That's okay. But if they're willing to work, let's work with them. Okay. Let me give you some key behaviors that fall with what to do for somebody who falls in the provide category. Number one, gathering information. Just let them talk. Let them say where they think they're being successful, where they think they're struggling, and what they think they need to become successful. Don't write the prescription yet. Listen to the symptoms. Number two, define expectations together. Don't say, here's what I want, here's what I want you to be, or here's where I want you to be. Let's talk about expectations as the two of us together. Being real, being honest, because as you guys know, as long as people feel they're progressing, they'll stick around. And that's half the battle, is sticking around. And once they're sticking around, then once they're good there, then we can help them become successful. But half the battle is getting people to stick around. And if they feel that they're not succeeding, they'll quit. So define expectations early, revisit that, do some empathetic listening, gather information, take all of that, and get them to feel like they can do it. Yeah, it's going to take a lot of time. Yeah, it's going to take a lot of effort. And you're going to have long nights or whatever it may be. It's worth it. Because they gave you their trust. And you need to take that trust and not only re-earn it, but stay true to that. That's who we are as leaders. That's how we're going to become successful. That's when people are going to write in their obituaries that I'm so grateful to Coach so-and-so because they changed my life forever. That's kind of what we want. And now my daughter turned on the TV. Great. Sorry if it's loud. We need to wrap up. We're close to that wrap up line. Does anybody have any thoughts about this that they kind of want to talk about before we wrap up, before I give my homework assignment?
I have a quick question. So what is your advice for if you're like having these types of calls with your coaches, but like the same types of recommended action steps keep coming up and they're not really like, they're still struggling with the same thing and they're not really like moving forward on their end?
I'm going to let somebody else chime in with what they think. That's a great question. Anybody want to give a thought? No? Okay. Yeah, Casey. No?
Just real quick, I'm going through the same thing, so this is not expert advice, but I found that I brought in a new coach and one that got the big picture, and I've really started delegating a lot to her as far as like going live in the team page. So sometimes just hearing it from another person, that's helped some of my coaches, not the coach I was hoping to get through, but just a suggestion.
I like that. I think that's good. You know, one of the things that I think in regards to this, and yeah, I'm with Casey on this, no expert here, but maybe having them see success in a different area besides where they're focusing may help them feel better about themselves and maybe think that they can be successful in other categories. I think maybe a different thought here is, okay, obviously what we've prescribed isn't working. And so let's try something else. Let's go about this a different way. Maybe have them give different suggestions. I know I'm saying very high level because it's different in every case, but maybe if we attack this from a different angle, we may be able to crack the code rather than trying to go through the same motions and then getting the same results. You guys know that's 2017 in a nutshell, is trying the same thing and not working. So now we have to redirect. We here at Beachbody, we kind of figured that out ourselves. Where when we launched UV2, Country Heat, what else we launched? Ship Shop, yada yada, we kind of just said, "Here you go. Here's your prescription. Ready, set, go." And nobody really became successful off of those things because we didn't set you guys up for volume success. We set you up for maybe bod success, but not for volume success. And so we finally figured it out with 80-day obsession. Oh, let's have some volume attached to these programs. And so we're attacking it from a different angle, and now people are picking up kind of what we're putting down. It's kind of that same thing. So brainstorming would be a great thing to do with this individual, and some, anyways, in regards to that. That's a great question, Jenny. Thank you. Okay, homework time. We've reached our 40-minute cap. Here we go. And this is something that you are going to report on. I just had a thought. I don't know if I should do this between now and here's what I want you to do. I'm just making this up on the spot. We'll see how it goes. Between now and our next call, I want you to think of an individual who falls within the counsel category and the provide category. And I want you to exercise some of these key behaviors that we talked about today. Some of the thoughts you've had, some of this, I'm going to try this. Here's the individual I'm working with who fall below the line. Here's what I'm going to try to do. And the homework assignment is to try it. You have 2 weeks to try to work with somebody in the counsel category and the provide category. Here's the on the fly part. On our Facebook group page, I want you to post what you're doing. I want you to post, here's kind of the scenario for each of the people, and here's what I'm going to try to do, and then update us throughout between now and the next 2 weeks. On our next call, I'm going to take the first little bit, and I'm going to have you guys report back on how it went, for good or for bad. If you didn't see success, you don't need to lie. You don't need to not show up to the call. It's okay to come to this call and say, here's what I tried and I failed. And then maybe between all of us, we can help each other out with what to do next. But guys, we're dealing with people. How fun is this? We're going to see progress. We're going to see movement. We're going to take people and try some of these things. And if you're scared, perfect. That means you're doing something right. It's time to take your business and move forward. It's not going to move forward by just doing nothing. Let's do the hard things. Let's talk to these people and then post it on the Facebook group. How's it going? And in 2 weeks, report back. I can't wait to hear all about it. But that is our call. Thanks for being my guinea pig group. Thanks for enduring my daughter here and there. And then we will see you in 2 weeks from now. We'll see you. Thanks, guys. See ya.